Hey guys, welcome back to the Closing Podcast. I'm your host, Chloe Clark, and today I have Wilson joining me, LA rapper and music artist. How we doing? How we feeling?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
Let's jump right into it. I already introduced you as an LA rapper, and we know how much culture, impact, history that LA has within the music scene. So what was it that initially drew you to pursuing music and taking that on?
Music wasn't something I wanted to do, to be honest. Like, I don't know if it's just LA or if it's just like a rapper stigma anyway, but nobody wants nobody respects a rapper until they make it. So that was kind of like my thought process behind the whole thing. Like, I always loved music. Always been like super into like every genre. And then like when I started getting like a musical inclination for myself, I kind of hid it for a while. And then I started like telling my friends about it, like, oh, I think I want to rap. But it was even to this day, it's super embarrassing for me to tell people like I make music.
Really?
It's just like you make music.
Right. It does have that stigma
Yeah.
for sure. You talked about listening to all genres of music, and I learned you were a little church boy. Your mom, your sister grew up singing in the choir. In church itself, it's all about, emotional depth, storytelling. So would you say that altered or changed the way that you create and perceive sound?
I don't know if it like altered the way I perceive sound. I just like have always been around music. Even like now that I look back on it, I realized that with growing up, it was just like something that was always around. Like somebody was always singing, or like one of my older sisters, she was like she at one point in her life she had tried to do like her own singing career. So it was just something that's always been around. Like I can't even like remember a time where it wasn't like consistent music being played, the radio, or just like in the house. So it's just always been something that's been a part of me type thing.
Yeah. And I feel like gospel in particular, it often shares themes about struggle, hope, emotional expression. And I feel like that is revealed subconsciously or not. It is revealed a lot through your music now today and kind of depicts who Wilson is as an artist. And I know your art has previously been described as music that toes the line between street rap and heartbreak, death and love, tough talk and vulnerability. How do you create that synergy, that balance, and has that sound always been like that?
I feel like all my favorite artists are like super vulnerable and like super honest in their music. So that's really pretty much what I like try to portray through my stuff. Like I try to tell like real life situations or things I've seen, things I've been through. When I'm talking like about like street stuff that I've seen or heard about, it's from all like mostly personal experience. Or like, and then heartbreak, like some of it obviously is kind of like I'm kind of like blowing it up to be bigger than what it is, but I try to like be as honest as I can. Or like if I was feeling, most time it don't be heartbreak, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But it like if I was just feeling a certain way about a certain situation, I try to convey those emotions through song form.
Yeah, we're going to dive deep into that because I know you do hang your hat on being honest and vulnerable in your music. But taking it back to when you first started, I know that you first dropped some freestyles on SoundCloud too. One of them was Childish Gambino's 3005 and then Nicki Minaj's Chirac. I feel like a lot of artists, rappers, they have similar stories of just dropping random things online, freestyle. So how did yours play out? How did that experience play out for you?
So, like I said, I was like, I was kind of hiding that I made music for my friends for a minute. So it wasn't until I really felt like I had something that was tight that I was starting to tell people like, yo, I've been getting down. Like, let me play you something.
Right.
So I had just bought like a bunch of cheap equipment from GarageBand and was recording myself at home. I really like those two beats, so I was like, I'm gonna just smash them together and rap for a minute on those. But I had some homies that I went to high school with that was making beats, and it was like one of the few people from high school who was like, I felt was doing dope stuff. I thought I was doing dope stuff, so I was like hitting them up, like, yo, bro, like we should work. And they was kind of curving me. I'm like, all right, for sure.
Not the curve.
For real, it was curving me. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm just keep doing my own thing with these beats I find on the internet, and then I put that out. And my homie Django, who I still make music with today, he heard them and hit me up like, oh, bro, like I see that you serious and you dope, like we should link. And then I've just been working with him and his brother ever since then.
I was gonna say, so that was like around what, 2014?
Like 2014, 2015.
Yeah. And so that production duo, Cook and Django, you still make a lot of your music with to this day. Is that's pretty much how the collaboration and relationship began back then?
That's literally how it started. So we from the same neighborhood. So I grew up in area in South Central, like called the Hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to high school with Django. His brother is older than us. So like I would see them like around a lot, like outside of school. And I just run down on him like, we got a homie, Trev Deshaun.
Yeah.
He had like a like album release party at somebody's house. It was like a random crib. I ran down on him like, yo, like we should work. They
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, for sure, bet we will. And then I think they had sent me like 2 beats, and like the next day I did something at the crib, but it's like a terrible quality. Like
Right.
looking back, it was a terrible quality. They're like, oh, that's cool. And then I did this was after the Chirac and 3005
Mm-hmm.
thing. So it was like, come to our house. They had a crib that they dad owned in Compton.
Okay.
And they was just staying there. And they was like, come to the house, let's make something. And the first song we made was 93.
Okay.
Terrible now, but at the time we was like, damn,
You thought it was it.
we about to make it. Like
Right.
I got on Complex. They had wrote like an article about it. So I'm like, oh yeah, it's a matter of time. I had quit my job.
Oh, you thought it was up.
Oh, I thought it was like a record label was gonna call me like anytime that week. And it didn't happen like that, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, ever since then we just been locked in. I've seen them more than I've seen like family members in this past 10 years.
Sometimes the rundowns be working.
Yeah,
so take that chance. But I know, speaking of early music, I want to touch on Jody Summers, which is a collective of yourself and fellow LA rapper Scotty LaJour.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back on one of their early albums, Scam Likely, it has a completely different sound than your solo work. So what inspired you to take on that side of your music with another artist?
Scotty went to high school with me too, and him and Django are best friends.
Okay.
So, you know, I would go over their house, Scotty would be there. Like, we was cool in high school, but I wasn't like my homie like that. And then, you know, just seeing somebody who makes music a lot. Also, we just like naturally was making songs together.
Yeah.
And after a while, we just had a bunch of tracks, and we was like, let's put like a little joint project out together. But then, all right, what we gonna call it now? So at first we was going by just like no hooks, which was stupid.
Yeah.
Because none of our songs had hooks. We was just rapping all on them. And then it was like, okay, that's a trash name. Then randomly, one of us came up with the idea, like, let's just go by Scam Likely. So we was going by Scam Likely at first, and we put that project out. And yeah, for some reason on DSPs sometimes, if like another person has that same artist name, when they upload music, it'll go to your artist page. So we was having, it was a bunch of people.
A bunch of just random.
Who was going by the same name, Scam Likely. So it'd be our music at the top, and then just like the worst song, no offense to y'all, but just like some of the worst songs you ever heard in your life. And it was kind of all like,
yeah, you're like, what is this?
Who
is this?
So we was like, all right, we got to change the name because this is not going to work. So then we came up with Jody Summers. That's Tyrese's name, and Baby Boy.
Yeah.
And that's both our favorite movies. So it was like, nobody got this. And then we just been rocking with it since.
Nice. So I do want to, we already referenced some old music, old sounds. I do want to get into our first segment I call Run It Back. Basically looking back on old photos, videos, and diving deep into that moment. So with you, we're going to look back on your previous albums. The first one being 1-800-Heartbreak. And in an Instagram post promoting it, you said it was the most proud of project I've ever been. Not a song on here I was unsure of. 12 songs of my mess ups and lessons. So 1-800-Heartbreak, when you listen to it, it often depicts this mysterious character. How did you go about developing that character, and what does it represent through your music, especially with it being an earlier album of yours?
That just was just a random thing. So I made the song Heartbreak Anonymous, and Cook, who's the other half of Cook Django, he was like, yo, bro, like, since you called that song Heartbreak Anonymous, maybe we should play up on the anonymity thing. Like, we could order like motorcycle helmet, like we make a whole thing of it. So that's really how it started. And then we both just like the aesthetic of it so much. Like, so then like based off of what my music sounds like and like the topics I talk about, we was like, oh, well, it kind of mean like don't crash out. Like I have like a bunch of plays on it. So like, yeah, we just took it and ran with it. It literally just started from off the song title, Heartbreak Anonymous.
And speaking about character development in music, we see that in television, film, literature, right? But in music, how do you go about blending personal experience with artistry?
It's tough. It's tough because a lot of times some of these stories, like girls that I've dated that listen to my music, like, oh, who is this about? Oh, you say like, so you gonna make a song about me?
Oh,
I'm like, well, if this don't work out, we're gonna
right.
I'm gonna make a song about you. But it's not hard, like, post dealing with somebody, but while you're dealing with somebody, it could be a little difficult because
Hmm.
it'd be like listening to the music, like, oh well, this really happened between us. So like, are you really talking about other girls you be messing with behind my back? Like,
Hmm.
like, what's
Hmm.
going on here? And then you'd be like, oh baby, it's just I'm just making songs.
Just right. It's generics.
I'm just speaking in generic. So it can get kind of
Hmm.
funny, like just
So
kind
you've
of like
had those
the
those talks and conversations with girls
no,
that call you out.
definitely. Like, okay, like if this part of the song I know for a fact is true, what is
Hmm.
this other part you talk about? What's these
Exactly.
other girls you talk about?
Side
So
eye, a little suspect.
a lot of suspect. But listen, I've grown as a person. I'm not I'm not the
For
same as
sure, for
I
sure.
always been.
Well, what I like is that you draw from personal experience and you can see the storytelling through your music, your lyrics. And I was actually watching a recent Money Long interview, and
Mm,
she talked about how music isn't hitting these days. Like it's
mm,
not sticking, largely in part due to the lack of quality and lack of storytelling. Do you
mm.
believe that storytelling is a lost art in music?
I, it's funny. I was just talking to my homie Nico about this same topic.
Yeah.
He was telling me like, yeah, man, storytelling is you should start telling like more like stories. Like even if it's not like directly about your life, like you should just come up with like a story and try to stick with it through a whole song.
Mhm.
So no, it's definitely a lost art. But just because like I've been having this talk a lot of lately. The internet has really like fried our
Oh, for
brains.
sure.
So most people just making music off in clips basically. Like how many songs do you know but you don't know? In a way, like I know this line, I might know the hook, but then you
Exactly.
listen to the whole song and be like, oh, this what this sound like?
Mhm.
So it's just kind of like the
Exactly.
TikTokification
I
of
was going to say
music.
frying our brains for sure. But let's get into the second half of the Run It Back method acting.
Mhm,
And when promoting that in Instagram, you said how therapeutic the project was to make after a year from hell. Love lost, love found, love lost again. Had the whole thing done and scraped 90% of it to damn near start over. So that EP builds upon, that Heartbreak Kid persona.
mhm.
But what was the direction and process in developing that character and that album? Because clearly it wasn't a linear path.
Nah, so 1-800 Heartbreak, I made all of those songs during like the heart of COVID when it was like
Okay.
nothing to do. But so I was just sitting at home, pumping songs out. And then method acting, it was just, I was like, I had a girlfriend at the time. Me and
Hmm.
her was like on and off. So I was like dealing with other girls. So it was kind of like, I had so much music from that initial point of COVID.
Yeah.
Uh, I thought I just could like ring off a couple projects, and then when I sat down with a lot of the songs I had, I'm like, this is not really cohesive. This is not like
Yeah.
up to par with what I like to put my name on. So scrapped it, went back to the drawing board, and then kind of like created the sound of both parts of method acting
Hmm.
around the concept of like you said, like I just built on the character of like the Heartbreak Kid and
Yeah.
just like the whole concept behind method acting was I was pretending to I made this character up. I was pretending I was him so much I actually became him. And so yeah, I just kind of like shaped the project around the concept.
Yeah. What's interesting to me in 1-800 Heartbreak, you stated how you were so sure of every song on there.
Mm,
And then fast forward to the EP,
mhm,
you had to
mm,
go through the trials and tribulations,
mm.
it seems. So what does certainty look like for a music artist?
I feel like musicians are some of the most insecure, unsure people. So I really, and I'm not above that.
Yeah.
So I really don't know what certainly looks like in a project. But sometimes you songs I make music to give me a feeling. So if the songs give me that feeling, like damn, like this is it's something about this, it's something special.
Hmm.
And then when you play it for people and they kind of get the same reaction, because a lot of times off the initial listen, some people might not gel what I'm doing, but a lot of
Yeah.
times I hear like, yo, bro, like I really sat down with your project, and yo, this is my favorite thing of the year. Like I really love this. So it I don't really think it's certainty in making music. You just
Hmm.
gotta put it out.
Yeah.
And if you like legit, if you like the songs, that's really what matter the most, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. You talk about putting yourself out there and relates to being vulnerable
Hmm.
and random, but I was listening to a Kevin Hart interview and he
Hmm.
was saying how being comfortable about your pluses and minuses, basically like your good and bad, being able to
Hmm.
address it and talk about it is a talent. And that's
Hmm.
how he views his ability to be vulnerable as a comedian and be successful at it as we know him to be.
Hmm.
Do you think being vulnerable is a talent?
Uh, I don't know if it's that's a good question. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a talent. It's just like some people like live in such like a fake version of themselves or fake like what they like persona of what they want people to see. Like I've been seeing a lot like people say I don't want to be perceived.
Right.
So like I don't know if it's a talent. It's just like being your true self, like being honest with yourself, like yo, this is who I am, so this is what it's gonna be. And a lot of people just don't want to be themselves. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
don't like themselves as they are,
Facts. High
so it's just
key.
like yeah, like it's hard for them to be vulnerable because they don't even know who they
Yeah.
truly are. So I wouldn't say it's a talent. It's just like everybody gotta come to Jesus moment of like yo, this is who I am,
Right.
and whoever don't like it, don't like it.
Yeah, be real with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to your point, I don't think it's necessarily a traditional talent, like,
Mm,
playing a sport or instrument, but it
mm,
is a quality, I think, like you
mm,
said, it can set people apart, especially in the industry that you're in as a
mm,
creative, to tap into that side and bring out something abstract within an art.
mm,
So in that sense, I want to talk about your abstract art through your cover art. I think you mentioned before the helmet and
mm,
the use of that. I see it as a symbol of protection and
mm.
security, but it can mean something else for you and what you were trying to portray. So can you just talk us through the cover art, the symbolism behind it all?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, now I look at it as a don't crash out type thing. I done been in a lot of situations in my life where I should have took the high road. I should have done
Mhm.
things differently, but I led with emotion 99% of the time. So I put myself in a bunch of situations where I
Yeah.
could have avoided. So now that's how I really look at it as like a don't. Yeah, don't crash out, like, safety first
Right.
type of thing, And then just like aesthetically, I think it looks dope, and I try to like every aspect of what I put out to the world, I want it to be like top notch. So I
Yes.
think it's just like striking to see.
Yeah, and what about the skull? Because I know that's utilized in.
So with the method acting theme, it was like a Shakespearean
Okay, that
what
sort of vibe.
yeah, so it kind of just fit with the theme of the album. Tried to throw that little like Easter egg in there.
Got
Like
it.
so I be loving when people DM me like, is this like a Shakespeare reference? So,
Right.
yeah, it
It is. It is.
is.
You talk about aesthetic, and I was going to bring that up how you have a distinct aesthetic,
Mm,
both visually and musically. How
mm.
important is that visual storytelling to your music?
I feel like it's like your own individual voice. Like people want to know who you are. So if like usually if you meet or talk to any like music person, they'll tell you to find your sound. So
Yeah.
because it's like distinctively you. So with everything like the beats I pick, the way the cover art looks, the way video looks,
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to make everything distinctively Wilson. Like I don't
Yeah.
want people to be like, oh, this kind of sounds like Kendrick.
Right.
Or this kind of sounds like Kanye. Like, no, this is Wilson.
Wilson.
Like
Yeah.
the whole package. And if somebody biting it, they're like,
Mm.
Wilson did this.
Exactly. I think it's great that you have your own sound, your own individuality. And you touched on before how you really like to lean into honesty and,
Mhm,
again, vulnerability. I know before you've said what I think sets me apart from others is honesty in my music. What do you think is so instrumental about that singular concept? Although it can be so simple
mhm,
or maybe difficult for others, but
mhm.
what do you think is so important about it?
In the music space, I feel like when you honest, people could connect with honesty, and even if they haven't, it's a lot of people who have been through the situation. If you just open up, like it's a lot of people who would be like, "Yo, like I'm currently going through this." So when you
Mhm.
said that, it really hit home. Like,
Yeah,
so I feel like people connect with honesty. People respect honesty. Like,
for sure.
like for you feel me? Like even when if somebody was to be like, "Yo, I'm not going through that," but I respect that you even would
Exactly.
say that on a song or like reveal that you had these emotions at the time or
Hmm.
so honesty bar none, is the most important thing in music to me. Besides, like, having a good time. But if that's who
Right.
you are truly, respect to it. But yeah, people can respect honesty. People
Yeah,
can relate to honesty.
for sure.
But,
That reminds me of Doechii.
mhm,
She recently said, she spoke about her view on classical hip hop
mhm,
and the importance in tradition, the need to uphold the heart of hip hop, which she believes is lyrical composition,
mhm,
being truthful about what we're going through, honesty, like what we're talking about right now, and just being able to connect with people.
mhm.
Who do you think is another music artist that shares honest music?
Um, so my favorite artist ever is Kanye. I
Yeah.
know it's kind of crazy now, but I
He's
feel
still he's still the GOAT. I
yeah,
don't
no,
care.
facts,
Yeah.
facts, facts. But shit, Kanye in every album is very honest with everything he's going. You know exactly what Kanye going through
Yeah.
at the time with that album. So he does it very well. I feel like Kendrick does it very well.
Hmm.
I'm a big Stevie Wonder fan.
Yeah.
Stevie's music was super honest. I feel like, and that's why I take all my favorite artists like a minute to come out with music because it's like
Yeah.
life experience that you got to go through. It's hard to like kind of just pump music out
Yeah.
and like keep the soul of it.
I hear that you can't write music unless you're going through anything.
Mhm.
Is that true?
Nah, that's very true. And I try to make something like daily. I try to be creative daily,
Right.
but like I feel like my best stuff comes when I just went through something. It could be minor. It could be a minor
Hmm.
inconvenience. I can take that and spin it. But usually, like when I'm just making music to make music, it's cool. Like I can rap, so I
Right.
don't think it's gonna be trash. But like my favorite stuff comes from like an experience I
Yeah.
had.
Yeah. And I think that's all about, you talk about your own experiences and
Mhm,
then great artists like Kanye's and Kendrick Lamar's, who we see them break down those walls and take risk and be
mhm.
vulnerable. So for an artist, how do you digest vulnerability for yourself to then repackage for others to understand and appreciate?
Um, I'm not perfect by any means, but
Yeah.
I do try to like feel my feelings. Like I try to like sit in it when
Yeah.
I'm going through it. Like I try not to run away. There have been
Uh-huh.
instances where I like, just replacing feelings with bullshit.
Mhm.
But yeah, I try to feel my feelings. I try to allow myself to process it, and like I feel like making music is kind of like journaling because I'm not putting out obviously I'm not putting out everything I make,
Right.
but like for the most part, like I can at least try to express my emotions I'm going through on the page or in my phone or on my
Yeah,
laptop. Like it's a way to decompress for sure.
for sure. So is journaling a part of your music process, and do you look at it as like a form of
Mhm.
therapy or more so a creative outlet?
So the act of actually writing music is how I would say I journal. But
Okay.
like for the most part, when I'm like out or something, I got like plenty of voice notes where I'm just like
Okay.
rambling. I got a lot of like videos on my phone where I'm just like talking to the imaginary
Yeah.
crowd. So I didn't realize it until somebody told me that, like, that's like a form of journaling. Like you just kind
Yeah,
of venting
100%.
and ranting. But yeah, I think I do. I
Yeah.
pretty much journal.
So with your music, although it touches on introspective themes, how would you say you blend some deeply personal moments to make it universally enjoyable at the same time?
Mhm. Uh, I think for, I don't think I make music with the intention of, and maybe I can get better at this. I don't think I make music with the intention of like making it universal. I just
Mhm.
kind of say how I feel, and if
Yeah.
somebody can relate, like I will hope so. But I kind of just make it to get some shit off my chest, and
Okay.
whoever can relate, please come. We can
Right.
share this shared experience. But yeah, for the most part, I just make it for me and hope people like it.
Yeah, I love that. One song that I do think creates a good balance of that push and pull is Obsessed
Mhm,
off of the latest EP.
mhm.
And sounds like you were going through some things, right? You were down bad, even right off the jump from the hook. It's like, I think I was so obsessed. So, could you break that song down and what you were going through?
So I was dealing with this girl. It was like one of those super like you ever been in something that's like you not even messing with the person long, but it's kind of hot and heavy, and it was just
Mhm.
like very emotional. So me and her had freshly stopped dealing with each other. I think it was like 2 days. and it was a big fallout. It was like the last straw.
Okay.
And I had a studio session. This A&R had booked me a session, and me and the homies pull up, and they played that beat. And I had just been talking with my homegirl about the situation with the
Yeah.
girl, and she was like, I don't even know if you was in love with her, or if it was just like limerence or however you say that
Mm-hmm.
word, and like it's like more an ego thing. I don't
Right.
know if you really need to sit with that. So I made a song based off that. Like I might just be obsessed with you. I was checking this girl Instagram. I was watching it. We're not even
Yeah.
following each other. I'm looking
One
at
of
her
those.
story.
One of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I'm obsessed with this girl for whatever reason it is. So yeah, and then we knocked that out in like 30 minutes. I had a lot to get off
You
my
have to get
chest.
all that off your chest.
Yeah.
Was it easy for you to make essentially? Because
It was super easy. Like the homie started playing that beat, and I automatically just started saying, I think I'm obsessed. And they was like, hold on, record that.
yep.
And yeah, the rest is history.
But I think I'm obsessed with you. I think I feel best with you. I know this ain't sensible.
So when looking at other songs, do they normally come that easy for you? Do you just hop in the studio and freestyle, or what is the process like when you're creating a song and thinking of what to make?
I think my best stuff, I don't know about other artists, or things that just kind of like come out naturally. Like when I hear the beat and it like the words just kind of like write themselves. Like I just like start coming up with a melody on the spot, or I just start like mumbling like phrases or something like that. So like my creative process for the most part, if I can't immediately come up with a hook, I'm just gonna write the verse and then hope the hook come later. Or
Okay.
like a lot of times, a lot of beats I get, people will send me stuff all the time and think like, oh, I don't think he liked it. But sometimes certain beats are for a certain time. So
For sure.
I go back and listen to stuff like constantly. And sometimes it'd be a beat I got like a year ago, like Heartbreak Anonymous. My homie had sent me that like during the summer, and I recorded that during that winter. It was just like, and I sent it to him like, bro, the inspiration finally hit me. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's certain times, certain sounds for certain times. Something just got to catch me in the right mood. It's weird. I'm weird.
Speaking of being weird, I
Yeah.
hear you don't like happy music. Is that
Nah,
no?
for the most part, I don't like. I want something that's gonna make me get a little
In your
sad.
feels?
Yeah, I like stuff
Really?
that's gonna get me sad, or like the instrumentation behind the song
Yeah.
gonna get me a little sad. Like, of course, like when I'm out partying and stuff, like that stuff.
You're gonna tee up a bit.
But in my
Yeah.
personal time, like at home or I'm driving in the car or something, like, for the most part, I'm not jamming
Okay.
along.
Okay. What were you listening to on the way here?
I've been really into jazz music, so I've
Okay.
been listening to a lot of like Miles Davis and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, Roy Ayers.
Nice. The range. I love the range. You talked about beats and being sent beats. Cook and Django, I realized they use a lot of samples. How do you think samples elevate a song?
I feel like they elevate a song from the listener's point of view because it's something familiar. It's a whole science behind that actually. Like songs with samples usually blow up easier than like original music just because it's like a familiarity to it.
Right.
So for the listener, I know that's why. But for me personally, sometimes the right sample just brings out helps bring out that emotion that I'm looking for in a song.
Yeah.
So like the right loop, the right vocal chops, this is helping bring out what I really want to say right now. So yeah, I wish it was easier to clear samples, but
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I feel like it's all about recontextualization, as you're
Yeah.
saying, just bringing new life, new depth, new layers to something that
Yeah.
is often old and nostalgic.
Yeah.
Do you hear something that you're listening to in the car and you're like, oh, I want to do this? Do Cook and Django come to you with the sample? Or how does that process work out?
It's a collaborative effort. Like most of the time, I kind of just let them do their thing, and
Okay.
out of what they bring to me is I decide what I want to use. But every once in a while, I'll hear something and be like, "Yo, like, what can y'all do to this?" And if they don't hear nothing to it in it, now I've gotten to the point where I know like a bunch of more producers. I kind of like
Okay.
send it around, like,
Yeah.
Cook and Django couldn't mess with it. What you think it is? So, yeah, it's a collaborative.
Okay. Do you ever dabble with production at all?
I try, man.
Yeah.
I don't like being bad at stuff. Like even when I first started rapping, I was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be listening to like some of my earlier stuff, about to kill myself, or my bad. But I was like,
We all start somewhere.
Yeah, but
It's about the growth.
even in the beginning of rapping, I thought I was good. Even if it was bad, like
You thought it was it.
retrospectively, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Making beats, I immediately, like, the first beat I tried to make, I was like, nah, this ain't it. Like, so I had bought like I still got it at the house. Like, I got a little MIDI keyboard at the house. Like, every once in a while, I try to play around with it. I'm like, that's just not for
Y'all
me.
got it.
Yeah,
Y'all got it. So did you ever play instruments growing up?
I played the drums a little bit, like in church growing up, but like it was never nothing crazy. It was just like something like dabbling in it. Because since my mom was super into church, we would like stay long hours after church. I just stay around playing, and like my cousins and stuff are like super talented drummers. So like I know I got a little bit of chops on the drums, but that's pretty much
nothing
it.
crazy. Yeah. Well, on the topic of using samples, that always reminds me of like longevity within music, because clearly we're using old songs and meshing it with new sounds. So what is your view on longevity and how to truly create timeless music?
I think it go back to like a question you asked me earlier with like the honesty and putting emotion in songs. I feel like all the biggest artists, like real rappers now, like the bar is you can actually rap. A lot of dudes aren't the greatest rappers, so and you see that they don't really stick around.
Right.
So like the bar is you gotta be able to know how to rap well. But then make timeless music, I feel like it's having that emotion and honesty in songs. Like it's only so much bragging you can do. It's only so many women in the world to have sex with. It's only so many chains to buy. Like the dudes and women who have stuck around the longest have like a certain honesty in their song, like in their music, and you could really tell like it's like a time capsule of like what they were going through at the time, and it portrays in the music. Like even outside of rap, like R&B, like SZA, I think she got like 2 classic albums, and they're really just like the perfect encapsulation of what it is to be like a woman in your 20s or like a woman in your early 30s. So I feel like the more honest, the more transparent you are in your music, that's usually, in my opinion, what makes music timeless.
What's gonna last for sure. Yeah, because it's real, and we're speaking about experiences that they're going through that people can relate to and just be authentic with. So I do want to ask on the topic of samples. Clearly, that's been around for decades, but we see AI popping up and all these other technology and trends. How do you see your sound evolving with new technology, and are you going to experiment in any new ways?
It's crazy. My homie showed me like it's an AI program. I don't even know what it's called, but it makes samples for you. Like you could tell it, you could type in what you're looking for, and it can kind of like warp around those parameters that you give. So I feel like in that way, AI is pretty cool. I just don't want it replacing actual artists.
And it's getting tough. Like we see like all on Twitter, things drop it like between the Drake and Kendrick beef that was going on. It's like, is this real? Is this him? So it's crazy to. And
the labels are for sure embracing it. But I think AI is cool when it's cool, but when like the more
it's doing too much,
when it's doing too much more nefarious stuff, like replacing actual like human aspects of music, I'm not the biggest fan of. But yeah, like as an addition to what you got going on, I think it's cool.
For sure. Yeah. So on the topic of industry trends, I want to get into another segment I call What's Really Good. We're going to get into the real, especially with being in this space of music. We're going to get into some industry talk. So you are an independent artist, and we know the controversy that comes with the whole landscape of being signed with a label, not signed, the power balances between that. So why do you feel being an independent artist was right for you? And do you think it's necessary in this day and age to even be with a label?
I think it's just what you're looking for, honestly. Like some people like just want to be an artist. Like I don't want to deal with business. I don't want to deal with none of that other stuff. Like I just want to make the music and then have intermediary. If I said that right, that word right, do the rest. Like I want y'all to promote it. I want y'all to like get it to the masses. Like I did my part. Y'all do y'all part.
Right.
And then for me, it's just kind of like I'm kind of a control freak with it. I want my hands in like everything aspect of it. So that's why it's been right for me to be an independent artist, because I kind of just like Like, and there's nothing wrong with help. Like, I'm always reaching out to people like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, you think you can help me with this? Yo, you think you can help me with
Yeah.
that? But for me personally, it's just like giving up the control.
Yeah.
Like I want final say over everything. Don't just do stuff without
Exactly.
my,
Yeah.
without my stamp of
Exactly.
approval.
I hear you because I'm the same way, wanting
Mhm,
to control essentially all parts.
mhm,
And I know that you have your hand in a lot of different areas, especially being an independent artist. I heard you say before previously that if you could just rap,
mhm,
you would love
mhm,
this industry a lot more. But of
mhm,
course, you have to deal with, marketing, social media,
mhm,
all those other aspects that we're talking about.
mhm.
So could you explain that, and if you do feel the same way?
It's just people. Like, you got, you think of marketing as, yeah, just, market my
Right.
shit. Like, but it's actually like people and relationships and human emotions, dealing with like people's attitudes and all
Mm-hmm.
that other stuff. It's just like, it's easier to just do this by myself rather
Exactly.
than, kissing ass, or
Right.
people make a lot of promises. I'm not like, I don't know about other industries, or do people really like, that's why I said earlier I try to be a man of my
Yeah.
word, because people bullshit a
Mm-hmm. I
lot.
hear
Like,
you.
and like unnecessarily
Unnecessary for no
too.
reason.
Like, you ever had somebody that tell you they're gonna do something, you didn't even ask them to do it, and
Exactly.
they say like, oh, I could introduce you to this person, or
Like
I could do that for you, and then when the time comes for it to do
crickets.
it, it's like, well, why did you even say that?
Exactly. You did not have to do all that.
So yeah, it's really just dealing with the human aspects of
Yeah.
things. Like, people
People.
let you down a lot.
People. I hear you. I hear you. It's crazy because
Mm,
it's like you would think at this grown age, especially, that
mhm,
people will know how to move and just act
mhm,
accordingly, act
mhm,
correct. But to end this segment, you said previously one thing that you hate about rapping is rappers. Do
mhm.
you still stand on that?
Oh no, I definitely still stand on that. I got like a couple rap homies who like have dispelled this, but for the most part, I don't like dealing with egos. Like, I feel like I'm pretty chill.
Yeah.
If you hit me up, hey, I would love for you to to rap on this song. I don't care if you got 50 followers, 100 followers. If
Mm-hmm.
if I like it, I'll do it for the most part, most times if I see it. But dealing with rappers, this is like they give you the whole runaround. They'll be in your DMs like, bro, you so fire. I love your music.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta get one. You send them a couple songs as an option, like, yo, bro, if you mess with any of
Mm-hmm.
these, get on it for me. And be like, oh yeah, bro, I like this one, I'm gonna do it.
Doesn't.
Like, hit them up, they don't respond to text, or they
Yeah.
respond slow, and then
Go
after a while, it's
ghost.
just like, bro, I'm not dealing with this, and it be really pissing me off, because then I'll drop like another song, and they be like, bro, you should have sent me this one. This one
Like,
crazy.
you're
Like,
like,
you could
like, yeah. So that's happened to you with.
Yes.
Has it been any
I'm not gonna say no names, but I've been in contact with like some middle to big rappers.
notable? Yeah.
Usually what I learned is like bigger rappers are way cooler than the
Really?
middle tier rappers.
Okay.
Middle tier rappers be having their head inflated. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
then you'll meet somebody who's like actually a big person in the industry. You be like, bro, you way
You kind of
cooler
cool. Yeah.
than
What's his face?
the.
Right, exactly. So we all know that you are in this rapping game, but what people may or may not know is you also model and
Mhm,
you're signed with LA Models.
mhm,
You've done a few big campaigns from
mhm,
Skims to Levi's,
mhm,
Jordan Brand. How did you get into modeling and
mhm.
how do you balance the two?
So I got into modeling through music. So when I first started kicking it with like Cooking Django Heavy, Cook worked for an indie label. They're not even around anymore.
Okay.
But they he introduced me to them, and the owner's wife was like, "Yo, you're super photogenic. Like, I think you should look into
Okay.
modeling if you ever thought about it." I'm like, "Nah, I ain't really thought about it. Like, I just
Yeah.
like making music."
Right.
So then her best friend got a job at Ford Models, and she was like, "Yo, I sent my friend Michelle your Instagram. She
Hmm.
wants to meet you tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh,
I'm down.
okay, for sure."
Right.
So then, like the next day, I went to Ford Models and like met the whole team, and they was like, "All right, we'll be in contact. Let you know if we want to
Hmm.
sign you." I was driving back home that same day. It was like it called me like, "Yo, so we want to sign you to
Oh, straight
modeling
like that.
contract." So I was with Ford Models for like 6 months,
Okay.
and then like all my agents and Michelle who helped sign me, they
Hmm.
left and went to LA Models, and I've just been there ever since. And then
Yeah.
balancing the two isn't crazy. Like, modeling is cool. It comes in like waves. So like some months I could be super hot. I'm getting like booked every week,
Mm-hmm.
and then some months you be looking at your phone like, yo, where
Quiet.
everybody at? So I feel like they complement each other.
Yeah.
A lot of people now when I do shoots, they like, yo, bro, I've heard your music before. Like you
That's
super
dope.
dope. If you ever need like anything, you ever need
Yeah.
like some creative help. So it's actually helped me meet like a lot of dope people.
Okay. Who are some of the people that you've been able to meet, whether that be just around LA, through music, through modeling? Is there anyone notable that stands out for you?
I'm not saying like these people my best friends. Like
Right.
I've worked with like Doja Cat. She was super
Okay.
nice. I worked with Kim. She's actually very, very nice.
Really?
She kind of caught me by surprise with how nice
Yeah.
she is. And like, so I worked with Skims a couple times, and every time I would go like to their offices, she would, hey Wilson, how are you?
Oh,
Like,
okay.
have you been? We'll have like light conversation.
Yeah.
So just like, and then just like, I met Aleli. That's actually like a friend of mine now. I met Aleli through modeling.
Nice.
So it's just like cool people in the
Yeah,
industry.
for sure.
Yeah.
You also, because I'm a big Russell Westbrook fan, I know that you recently did a campaign for his brand, Honor the Gift. What was it like working with him?
Russ is cool, man. So we're like from the same area. So I
Yeah.
know like I met like his brother. I know like a bunch of people he grew up with. I never had met him directly though.
Okay.
So that day on set, we were just like chopping it up, like, oh, where you from? Like, oh, I grew up on this street. He was like,
Right.
what? Like, I grew up on this
Yeah.
street. And then he like, do you know so and so? You know so and so? And he was like,
That's
oh,
dope.
so we kind of like hit it off. He was like
Yeah.
super nice. He's like very nice dude.
Yeah.
And I was happy to be a part of it. Like LA native to LA
Exactly.
native. Yeah.
Exactly. Although both are different worlds, music and modeling, I feel like you've been able to bridge the two most recently in a 2023 campaign with Hanes, where they chose you to be a part of their campaign that was celebrating hip hop's 50th anniversary by using the voices of the next 50. What was that? That's a pretty impactful statement. What was that like to be a part of that moment?
It was super dope because making music, you don't physically get to see the faces of the people who listen to your
Right.
music. Like I really don't know who has heard my music before. Like Jay-Z could have heard my music, and I wouldn't even know. So that was pretty dope. They emailed like the email I got in my bio,
Okay.
and me and my manager kind of both looked at it and I was like, this look like a scam,
right.
bro. Ignore that. So they spun back like a week later, like, yo, like this is
legit,
Hanes.
yeah.
We would like to work with you for our celebrating hip hop's 50th anniversary. And then they DM me from Hanes' personal Instagram.
Wow, okay.
On Instagram, like, oh shit,
Right, they really about it. They want you.
This is a real thing. So I thought it was cool. I'm like, yo, I never knew that it was like people who can make shit shake, like
Exactly.
in position of power that, you know, like, yo, like we believe in what you're doing, like we think
Yeah.
you dope. We would like to like help like kind of stamp you in a way of somebody we think is gonna do something in this industry. So it was super cool. Like it was a fun experience. And then come to find out they found my music through like a subreddit or something
Oh,
like
wow.
that. Like
Yeah.
so yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's why I tell like dudes who, even though I'm not a big artist, people ask me for advice all the time. I was like, bro, you got to move like you already made it. Like,
Exactly.
you gotta everything. Put your best foot forward because you
Have that
you never
mindset.
know who's watching.
You never know. On that note of who's watching, who's listening, what is it that you hope your music can portray to listeners?
Really, I just hope people listen to my music and are like, yo, this dude is hella honest. He can rap really, really good. You know, and he's not making bullshit. That's honestly the only thing. Like, of course, I'll have like lines or like silly songs or
Right.
stuff like that. But for the most part, I hope to inspire other people. Like, okay, this dude is doing it this way. I could do it this way. I don't have to
Yeah.
like conform to like what's the industry norm right now.
Facts.
So hopefully, people just like are inspired by
Yeah.
what I'm doing. To be honest.
Yeah. I mean, regardless of who is listening, I know you stated before you would continue to make music even if you had no listeners, no fans. What inspires you to remain passionate and motivated about creating?
I just love music in general. Like I tell the homies all the time, like, yo, I just like making music with y'all. Like, y'all
Yeah.
my friends. Like, we all like doing this. Like, whatever happens outside of this happens. But for the most part, like, I just enjoy the act of creating stuff. And like, just even outside of music, like I'm always like coming up with little ideas for brands who don't care. But like,
Yeah.
I'm always like, I tell my friends, like, I'm the idea guy. Like, I could tell ideas for anything all day long. Now actually making it is a different
Story.
But it's like I just like the actual act of like creating and brainstorming and all that kind of stuff.
Are you currently brainstorming anything at the moment for whether that be related to music or not?
Yeah. I'm with my own music. I got like I've been trying to put the finishing touches on my next musical endeavor, but then like my manager Kev, he's like super tapped in. He's like just oddly knows everybody. So like any weird idea I've been having these days, we've been like really pitching the brand. So hopefully I got a meeting with a very big brand coming up soon. Hopefully I could help shoot a campaign for somebody. Yeah.
Nice.
On some creative direction stuff.
Love that. Musician, rapper, creative director, all of the above. So I do want to highlight another article that in 2015, the Complex one that you referenced earlier on, where the headline was Wilson is the latest addition to LA's growing crop of talented young rappers. So they gave you your flowers early on in the game. Do you feel like that was a lot of pressure?
Yeah, looking back on it now, for sure. Like at that time, I was getting a lot of write-ups that, in hindsight, I don't feel like I deserve. Like I told you, I always felt like I was a dope rapper from the very beginning, but I was getting a lot of like publicity early that was unwarranted. It for sure put a lot of pressure on me because it was a dark time from then to like 2020 where it felt like nobody even cared about what I was putting out at all. Like I was taking a bunch of meetings and just getting a lot of no's. So it was just like kind of feel like somebody was letting the air out of the balloon. So it was definitely like I got a lot of things unwarranted very early that I shouldn't have got. That I was looking for in 2019, 2020, 2021. So yeah, it for sure had put a lot of pressure on me.
So how did you deal with that, especially to keep pushing from 2015 up until, like you said, around 2019? How did you just remain consistent?
It was a lot of dark days for sure. Like I don't know, like I'm like a very moody person, to be honest. So like but it always felt like when I even thought about quitting, something would happen where it would reassure me, like, okay, keep going.
Yeah.
Like just meet somebody reaching out or meeting somebody or just like somebody to like telling me like, oh, like you're dope, bro. Like I love what you're doing. Keep going. So a lot of people don't realize, like a lot of people need to hear that. Like, like you telling somebody how much you like what they do, it could really put the battery in their back at the perfect moment of like, oh, okay, maybe I can keep going. Like maybe I am doing something.
Yeah.
And then it was just like creating. Like I never stopped making music. I don't think it's been a week where I haven't made at least a couple songs since I started making music.
Really?
And when you make stuff, you go through the ups and downs of like, I've been making a bunch of trash stuff. So when you finally make that one, it was like, nah,
it's kind of hard.
You sending it around to friends and everybody rocking with it. Like, all right, I guess I could keep doing this. So it's really just like timely reassurance but kind of just like being delusional.
Yeah.
You definitely being delusional.
No, for real. It's all about sometimes you got to be crazy enough to think that you can do it. Because they highlighted you as a part of LA's growing crop of talent. I know that you went to Kendrick Lamar's pop-out concert. What was that like to be not only an LA artist, but a LA native?
That was super fire to see. So I've been a Kendrick fan since Overly Dedicated. So just to see like where he's been, like he's probably like in my top 5 favorite artists ever. That felt like a pinnacle moment. Like the Super Bowl is gonna be crazier, but that felt like a pinnacle moment just to be in the atmosphere. So me and Kev, my manager, we was trying to get tickets. We was hitting everybody up like I ain't trying to pay for it. Like, ticket prices was crazy. I'm like, I'm hitting people up. He hitting people up. Nobody like it go from like I can't help you get tickets to not even getting answers. Yeah. So somebody finally hit him back with like 4 tickets. Like, yo, here. And we was looking at the resale prices. Like, should we sell this? Like, nah, we didn't sell it. We went. But it was like. He was like, bro, I think we should go. I feel like this is going to be like one of those moments in history where you could be like, no, I was there. So to actually be there and like to feel the energy in the crowd, it felt like it just kept going up and up from when like Dom went on stage to when Tyler went on stage, and then when Kendrick finally came out, it was just like, yo, this feels surreal. Like I don't even know Kendrick, but I felt proud at that moment. Like, yo, this is LA for real.
Exactly. So with that in mind, seeing all those rappers, individuals on stage, being from LA, do you ever see yourself at that moment of, you know, performing in front of crowds and making such an impact?
Definitely. That's the plan. That's the plan, to like one day, from selling out small venues. Like I sold out like my own show at UCLA last year. Like that's the plan, just to keep ascending, selling out small shows like that, to selling out theaters one day, and hopefully selling out arenas.
Yeah.
So seeing him just let you know that you can do it. 'Cause I saw him from when they was like had street teams passing out CDs on the street, like him doing like local music stores and stuff, like so seeing him get to where he is now is for sure like, nah, you could do it. Now obviously he's like 1 in a million talented, but still like it made me feel like I can one day do it.
So then lastly, as we wrap up, what would you say, what's next for Wilson?
I kind of been just laying low this year, trying to make I really want my next project to be like some shit. So I got hundreds of songs just unreleased. I've been like working with new producers, working with new rappers. But I just been like trying to make my next move my best move. So whenever I finally announce my next project, know that I gave it all I did. Like all I had, I gave it to the project, and hopefully it comes across. It's received like I wanted, like the effort I put into it. So,
100%. Well, I'm excited for whenever you do drop. Looking forward to that. I do want to wrap up with some speed questions. First one being, what's been in your recent rotations of music?
Like I said, I've been listening to a lot of jazz. What's that dude name? Rio something. I can't even think of it. He's like French though. And then I was listening to like this band called Brain Story. I've been listening to like a lot of McGee. I don't know. I haven't been listening to a lot of rap, like current rap, more like older rap, like still listen to Kanye and Kendrick every day. But yeah, just like a lot of indie stuff, a lot of things that sound kind of fresh.
Yeah, you named a bunch of artists. I need to up my music palette.
Listen, man, whenever I post a song on my Instagram story, tap in.
For sure. So with you being from LA, do you have a top LA food spot?
Top LA food spot. Like local joint, Louisiana fried chicken has never failed me. Worldwide Tacos never failed me. It's this restaurant in like East Hollywood I go to a lot called Found Oyster. You could literally pull up on a random day of the week and might see me in there.
So next one, if you could host a TED Talk on any topic, what would it be?
A TED Talk on any topic. Okay, so I've been running this past a few people lately. And hip hop, and this is funny coming from somebody who focuses a lot on lyrics. But in hip hop, we are too lyric focused, and it kind of is rooted in internalized racism. I'll give you an example. So Travis Scott gets a lot of flack for like he don't really be saying much in his songs. And he don't, but it's just like more vibe.
Exactly.
So he gets a lot of flack for not really saying much in his songs. But we let like bands like Radiohead, who is an iconic band, and their lead singer literally has stated in interviews like, well, I don't really say much in my songs. Like I'll come up with one phrase and say it over and over in the song. Or like I'll read a book and like, oh, I like the way that sounds, and say it over and over in the song. Like, and we don't hold them to the same standard as we hold rappers. But I digress.
Right. No, talk about it for real. I actually have never really thought about it, but it's a very good point. So get this man a TED Talk for real. You talked about lyrics a little bit. When you listen to a song, do you initially hear a beat first or the lyrics first?
Beat first. I'm not one of those people that can like come up with lyrics and then like find a beat that match it. Like, whenever I tell people all the time, like when I hear like a beat I like, usually the song writes itself. Like the words just kind of like flow out of me. So it's definitely beat first.
Got it. What about like when you're listening to a song and it is maybe at a party or whatnot? Are you listening to like the lyrics, or is the beat overpowering?
When you make music, listening over listening to songs kind of becomes a thing. So you become like overcritical, like, oh, the mix on this is trash. Like, oh, what did he say? Like, oh, the beat is trash. So I try to enjoy music for what it is. Yeah. And I try not to even dig too deep in it no more. Like, oh, this is cool. The beat, my head is not in. That's
fine. It's fine. Okay, so next one, you write a lot of songs about love, heartbreak. Would you say you're toxic?
Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah, I will. People love pointing that out, especially like when I first started getting fans. People be like, "You're kind of toxic." I'm like, I don't think so. But then I would like replay situations in my head. Like low key.
And then earlier you said that you were in a situation where you wasn't following the girl on Instagram. Do you? I know that's a big topic of conversation when you're like messing with a dude or girl. If you're talking to someone, do you normally follow the girl on?
No, we usually follow each other. We like you don't gotta put me in like close friends or something. Like we should give it a try at first though.
Yeah.
But usually how that works out is like if I want you to be yourself, you want me to be myself. So if you post it naturally, sometimes the stuff that initially attracted you to a person could start irritating you. Like, why you always gotta post like this? Why you always gotta do like this? And then usually it ends up with, let's just unfollow each other. We don't even need
we don't need all this extras. Yeah, I feel that. So next one, do you have a hot take that you can give us? Any or anything at all?
A hot take. Which is funny because I'm usually like chock full of hot takes. I'll just keep it music. Jesus is Kanye's best album. In my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It probably is a hot take. I feel like people
hate that album. People hate that album. I feel like it's, besides My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, this is like best made, and it was like super left field, which I tend to like more left field type stuff. So yeah, that's a hot take.
So last one. Would you be down to freestyle for us?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm a terrible freestyler.
I seen you on a freestyle recently. You weren't too bad. Okay, no freestyle for the people.
I'm sorry.
No freestyle for the people. He can't take the heat.
I really can't.
So last one though, I always let my guests put us on. So whether that be a song, an artist, another food spot, just put us on to anything at all. Here's your chance.
Anything at all. I'm gonna use this opportunity to shout out the homies. Check out Samara Sin. She's blowing up, but I love her work.
Yes,
that's the homie. One of your friends, he's a producer. He's doing a lot of work for this dude from Santa Monica, local, named Cruz. They're super dope. They got a project on the way that's amazing. The homie, my name isn't J Mag. He's dope. He just dropped the album. Food spots, check out Wound, check out Found Oyster. Listen, I could go on and on. I got a list of food places.
You're a foodie.
Yeah.
Okay, love that.
So yeah, Clink, it's like a wine brand. Some of my homies started. They do like a monthly party.
Oh, nice.
Check that out. So yeah, that's my
we plugged in. Gotta tap in. Well, thank you so much, Wilson, for joining me. I really appreciate it. And for everyone watching, viewing, I really appreciate the support. And I'll see you guys on the next episode.